My palms are sweating just like picturing that right now.
So I probably have some crazier stories, but for today's session.
For PG television.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That would be probably my best one.
Gotcha. Well.
Let's go.
Hi, I am Jessica Zweig, founder of Simply Be Agency, and today we're here with Pete Wilkins, the managing director of Hyde Park Angels, the most active early stage investor in the Midwest. Pete's also a thought leader on purpose and performance and the founder of Amaxin.
That's me.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Pete. So I know that personal branding, when it comes to entrepreneurship, especially entrepreneurs in a CEO position or any leadership position, is really important to you. You have a very strong perspective on that, and I'd love to learn why.
Sure. Well, I think at the end of the day, the reason that people follow a leader is because of who they are, what they represent, and the vision that they're projecting. And that has to be really genuine. It has to be able to connect with that individual. It has to be connecting with a larger community. And if you do that well, if that's truly who you are, then you represent your organization, yourself in a way that people will follow you.
I love that, and let's break that down, because we've talked about this idea of being authentic. You know, that you show up in a way on the internet or you put yourself out there on social media, say, in a particular way, but then who you are in person might be a little different. And that can be damaging, right?
Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
Well, I think, beyond your own brand, if you're not genuine to who you are, then really should anybody follow you? So I think it comes back, and it's not about creating a brand, it's about finding out who you are and representing that person 24/7, 365 days a year. And if you do that well, that's who you are, that's the brand you represent, and ultimately if that's genuine, people will follow that.
Yeah. We also call that authenticity, right?
Yeah.
Or being integrated. Like who you show up as in the flesh is who you're representing online. And if someone were to meet you in the flesh after following you online, it should be the same person that they meet.
Right. And I think that's what Simply Be does so well. I mean, you come in there and you say, hey, let's step back. Let's look at who you are. Let's look at your pillars.
Yeah.
And let's build that around you.
Right.
And then let's represent that. And if you're representing those pillars, your values, then you're going to be able to be authentic.
Yeah.
And that's going to be something that's pretty powerful.
It's the most powerful tool I think you can build as an entrepreneur. You work with a lot of entrepreneurs in your space, in your career. And we've talked about this in the past, about how you're on 24/7. If you're the CEO of your own company, you're on whether you realize it or you like it or not. And a lot of entrepreneurs can forget that. And so how do you help entrepreneurs become more awake to the power of their own brands?
Yeah. Well, I think that, that kind of goes back to a lot what I do with Amaxin. I think at the end of the day, it's about being really intentional to what matters to you. You got to make sure your attention's on it. And I think that you'll see a lot of times what I'm talking about is you got to allow yourself to recover. You're talking about being on 24/7.
Right.
You got to be able to pull back, because that allows you to bring that energy in a way that really can inspire people. But if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone. And if you don't do that, you can't lead effectively.
I love this because you've been working with entrepreneurs for so many years. You are yourself an entrepreneur, and you've built businesses and you've helped other people build businesses, and sort of out of the experience of this came, in some way, shape, or form, Amaxin.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about Amaxin and what those principles are?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could summarize Amaxin in this way, and I spoke about it a little bit just a second ago, but it's about having your attention really placed on what matters, being intentional about what you do, being able to bring that purpose to life that allows you to connect with the values of who you are, how you operate, and how you live. And I think it's more than just saying, well, I'm purposeful or I'm passionate. It's about living that. And I think that through my experience, and I think that the one thing that I would tell all the folks that are listening is that I probably had more failures and more challenges, and it's more about how I picked myself up, brushed myself off, and got up and did it again. That's more important. And it's being committed to those values, to your purpose, that ultimately drives us to our success. And after experiencing this, both through my life, through my businesses, through businesses that I've worked with other entrepreneurs, I've really learned that there's a lot more. And I think that's what O'Maxon's talking about, and that's what, I ultimately put together a book called O'Maxon Theory.
We're going to help you with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So excited to everybody that's out there, make sure you get a copy. And I'm going to do an app too that'll help you take it from theory to practice. But it's exciting stuff, and at the end of the day, it's all about being genuine, being purposeful, and making a difference.
So you talk about purpose all the time. It's the cornerstone of your brand, and we're on a mission to make that your X. Like when you hear the name Pete Wilkins, you think of purpose. And when you hear purpose, you think of Pete Wilkins. That's our objective with you.
Right. My name is really Steve, and we changed it to Pete so it can go Pete.
There's an
the
alliteration
purposeful.
there. Yeah. So tell us,
I'm just joking.
Break down what purpose means.
Purpose means this is ultimately putting attention to what matters, being intentional. It can be as simple as that. But it can be also bigger. It can be, what's your passion? What do you fight for? What will make a difference? What makes you wake up? What right do you want to make? What wrong do you want to make right? How do you want to live your life? What are your purpose pillars, your values, your connections, your family, your spiritual being? Those are all things that are purposeful. And I think at the end of the day, we don't pay enough attention to it. And I know a lot of people hear about mindfulness.
Yeah.
It's about being present. It doesn't necessarily mean transcendental type of meditation. Sure. It could be paying attention onto what matters, your purpose, which can be big or small, but you have to do it intentionally.
Now, do you think that a personal brand without purpose falls flat?
No.
No, why not?
Because I think a lot of people can do it, but I don't think it will be sustainable.
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
I don't think I think that there's a lot of people out there that are doing personal branding incorrectly, and if I dare say. And it's that inauthenticity. It's going out and wanting it for the attention, or even for it to drive your bottom line revenue. It's a really strong strategy for those things. But without a connection to purpose, to your why, to what kind of difference you want to make on the planet,
right,
it falls flat. And it isn't as compelling. And sure, you might be popular for a minute, but without that, that's what makes you sustainable. And I look at the greatest thought leaders in the world, and they all have purpose.
Sure. So I think that's true. And so if you were to rework the question, I would say absolutely you have to think about what your purpose is, because that will be sustainable. It doesn't mean it won't be changeable. And I think we evolve as people, and the circumstances in our lives change, and what we think is purposeful will change, but it won't be changing in a way that's superficial. It'll be genuine. I think that's what, and I think that's what, when you're thinking about personal brands, at the end of the day, you got to get more in touch to what your purpose is, what your value is, and that's truly the brand. It's not creating some wrapper to present yourself, because that thing will, I think that's what social media will show you, that you're not that person,
right,
and it'll kill your brand.
Totally. And when you come and work with Simply Be, we start with those really deep questions and ask you what your why is. A lot of people will come to us, or they want to work with us, and they think that it's about how many YouTube subscribers they're going to get and how quickly. It's like, well, we'll get there, but you have to start from the inside out. And we probe and we ask those questions so that we can get to the real brands and the real message that is going to ultimately last.
I think I've participated in a number of things through your work with me and also your workshops, and I think there's a self-discovery that you take people through that allows them to understand, this is who I am. And then I think the interesting thing is that it empowers people to own that.
Totally.
And then they think about, how do I present it? If you're measuring your brand on how many subscribers you are, you're probably missing the mark. It's a long-term game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But if you're committed to it, it's really going to make a difference.
Absolutely.
And probably more who you are than how you represent, which will ultimately come out.
Completely. I love that you use the word empowering, because what personal branding ultimately gives you is the ability to say how great you are, to own your greatness, to own your talents, and to exploit that in service of other people. Like, that's really what personal branding can give to a person. And once you are really connected to your why, you start, to speak spiritual woo, like you start vibrating on a different frequency.
Sure.
and you start attracting more of what you want and more joy and more opportunities that lead to more success that you want. And when there's that disconnect there, you're missing out on so much opportunity. And so you're right, it's a self-empowering act, not a selfish act.
Really, I think what Simple Be does is help you get in tune with who you are and figuring out how to present that. And that is what's powerful. And if you can be consistent to that, then you're going to be able to do amazing things.
What does Simply Be mean to you?
Simply Be creates an opportunity to really allow me to be me and represent that in the world so people can connect with me around who I really am.
I love it. So speaking of connection, where can people who are watching find you and learn more about you?
Well, thanks for asking. I mean, I definitely tweet a lot, so you can connect with me at Peter_Wilkins. Check out my website, omaxin.com, and connect with me and follow me on LinkedIn. And Simply Be, we're coming live, Instagram soon.
It's about time.
Right, so we're
Pete
going to do
Wilkins,
it.
Watch out,
right
Instagram.
On.
Pete Wilkins is coming for you.
Wow!
Thank you guys so much for watching today's Simply Be TV episode with Pete Wilkins, the one and only.
See ya.
Let's go.